Good evening, everyone. This is Dr. Vaughn, and I'm actually here on Zoom. One of your classmates is here on Zoom with me, and we're going to do a quick preview of a couple of things. Homework problems for tomorrow, Thursday, from section 1.5 and 1.6. And then I'd like to spend a few minutes talking about quantitative project number 1. So the first problem we're going to look at from section 1.5 is number 4. This one has to do with bias and identifying the cause or the source of the bias. In this particular example, I have a survey that's looking activity level of children, a cluster sample. We're going to randomly select these schools within a district and then sample all the sophomore students in these randomly selected schools. And the survey is administered by parents. All right, so what is the source of bias in this survey? I would say that one of the problems might be that the survey is administered by the parents. And so if you're going to, survey these children and they're sophomores and it's their parents that are saying, okay, how active are you in school? The children are going to want to, misrepresent, sometimes intentionally, maybe not, but the children may not always be honest about their activity level because the survey is being administered by their parents. And so I think that this is an example of what we call response bias. The people who are responding are not always representing the truth when you give them this self-reported survey, depending upon who's actually administering that survey. And then in the second part of this, it says, how can the bias be remedied? And I would suggest that maybe that you just kind of administer it by someone other than the parents. There's other problems with this study, but in particular, we're just talking about this source of bias and how we can remedy it. So we could actually get, some other party that the students are a little bit more comfortable being honest with their responses about how active they are in school. So that's it. That's question 4. The other one I'd like to look at from homework 1.5 is number 8. And in number 8, we have this phone survey, in this case, of a new movie. And the surveyor is going to take a simple random sample. Some people are not at home. Can this affect the ability of the surveyor to obtain accurate polling results? Well, absolutely, right? Because depending upon what time of the day that this person is actually surveying, the people at home might be, they might work at night and they don't get to go out and watch movies, or they might be working during the day if they can't answer the question, or there's going to be certain traits and certain opinions that are more indicative of people who might be able to answer the phone or are willing to answer the phone than those people who either can't answer the phone because they're not at home or don't answer the phone because they don't like answering the phone if they don't know who's calling them. So I think the answer is definitely going to be yes. Okay, this is going to affect the ability to obtain accurate polling results. Now let's look at the explanations. Because it keeps the people who are less informed from introducing bias to the survey. I don't believe that's true. I don't think the people that answer the survey or don't answer the survey are more or less informed, especially if the people who are not at home have a trait that's not accurately represented. That sounds good to me, but let's check the other one. Yes, because it allows the surveyor to better target her intended demographic. I don't think that this is targeting an intended demographic. It's just trying to reach people, but you only have a certain window with which you could reach them. I think the best answer here is B. All right, so those are our 2 questions from homework 1.5. Now let's take a look at 1.6, quick preview of that. By the way, I'll just mention this. There's one of these questions. I think it's 7 or 9. Let me take a look. Maybe it's 9. This one can be kind of annoying because, select all that applies. So even if you select like 2 out of, or 4 out of 5, or 3 out of 4 that are correct, it'll still mark you wrong. So I would really suggest you use the help me solve this, show me another example, the features, look it up in the book, trial and error, try it, get it wrong, try it again, get it right, So this one, just prepare to be a little annoyed by it, but you'll get through it. All right, now I'm going to go into homework 1.6. All right, in homework 1.6, we're looking at the difference between single blind and double blind. This is getting into experimental design as well. This is a true false. I'll skip that. All right, this one looks like long and complicated, has all these big words. Let's take a look at it. Oh, 6 parts. Maybe if we do this one, it'll be the only one from this section. But again, let's see if we can't get through it. I'll probably make some mistakes. I always do. To determine if topiramate, probably pronounced that wrong, is an effective treatment for alcohol dependence, researchers conducted a 14-week trial of 375 men and women aged 18 to 65 diagnosed with alcohol dependence. Double blind, that means neither the researchers nor the participants know that they're who's in the control group versus who's in the experimental group. The one group was given 300 milligrams of the drug, and the other ones are given a placebo. And then along with a compliance enhancement intervention, whatever that is, just some kind of a, motivational, here's what you should be doing. Okay, so we're going to determine is this self-reported percentage of heavy drinking days, and what does it mean for the experiment to be placebo-controlled? So what that means is that you have this kind of baseline. These are people that aren't really receiving the drug. And so that should be the group that we're comparing against. If you're not receiving a drug, that population, that sample, should be indicative of what no treatment looks like. And so then we're treating one group, and so we can see if the treatment group is significantly different from the placebo group, right? The placebo group takes no medication. Okay, I'm not sure whether it's no medication. Sometimes they're taking an innocuous medication, such as a sugar tablet, right? So it's not that they're not taking anything, because remember, it's double blind. So if one of the people is taking a medicine and the other one is not taking a medicine, the people who didn't take the medicine know that they didn't take anything. In other words, it wouldn't be double blind. They'd know that they were in the placebo group. So since it's double blind, you have to give them some kind of a pill that looks and tastes and feels like the other one. It just doesn't have the drug in it. So that neither the researcher nor the experimenter knows who's actually getting. I mean, you have to record it somehow. But, the person who's administering it can't kind of say, hey, nod, nod, wink, wink, you're getting the drug, or nod, nod, wink, wink, you're getting the placebo. In a double blind, you kind of control for that. So I don't like A, because it says no medication. We'll have a placebo group, which will study the group that is actually taking the medicine. No, the placebo group is not actually taking the medicine, right? So let's look at C. In the experiment, we'll have a control group that takes a placebo, which is an innocuous medication, such as sugar tablet. This control group serves as a baseline. So I like that one. C sounds good to me. Let's check D, though. The experiment will have a control group that takes a placebo, which is a lesser dose of the medication. No, it's no medicine, but it just looks and feels and tastes like medicine. I think I like C here. Okay, what does it mean for the experiment to be double blind? What it means is that neither the subject nor the researcher knows which treatment, whether they're receiving the treatment or the placebo. Okay, that one looks good to me. B. Why do you think it's necessary for it to be double blind? What you're looking at is that neither the subjects nor the researchers are actually going to bias it in any way. Okay, the subjects receiving the medicine should not necessarily behave differently. Individual monitoring the subjects does not treat those receiving differently. I think D sounds pretty good here. Okay, let me just look at the other ones really quick. Okay, it's got to reference both of them. I think that one looks good. Okay, what does it mean to be randomized? What it means is the people that receive the placebo and the people that don't receive the placebo, the ones that get the treatment and those that get the placebo, should be randomly selected, not like assigned to one of those groups based upon some other characteristic. All right, so the subjects are randomly assigned to take either the drug or the placebo. I think that's B. And the population. All right, so the population is this men and women aged 18 to 65 years old that have alcohol dependence. Okay, 18 to 65-year-olds with alcohol dependence. The sample is the ones who actually participated. I think that's A. Let's see, how is C different though? Oh, it says all 18 to 16 5-year-olds, but the population is really, this is only talking about people who have alcohol dependence. I think I like A here. Okay, and what are the treatments? So the treatments is this 300 milligrams of topiramate. And how often is it administered? Does it say daily? It doesn't say that they're actually getting this drug daily. Yeah, okay, so I like this one. It does, well, no. The treatment, I guess it is daily. It doesn't really say, but the treatment is the topiramate. And they're both getting the weekly compliance intervention. No, I think the subjects were given the 300 milligrams along with the weekly compliance. I think I like A here. Okay, well, let's see. I got one wrong. Yeah, I'm still not sure about this. Let me see. All right, well, let me try this one. Let me try just the drug and not worry about the compliance enhancement intervention. Nope, the correct answer was C. So let's see. It was the or a placebo one. All right, see, I told you I make mistakes, but now I can redo the question. I'd probably be able to get through all of these parts and get the right answer, or just kind of live with a very small point deduction and go on. This is the last part. What's the response variable? So the explanatory variable is whether they're getting the drug or not. The response variable should be the variable used to determine the effectiveness of the treatment was self-reported percentage of heavy drinking days. So percentage of heavy drinking days. All right, so we got through most of that question. I did make one mistake, actually two on the same part, but hopefully this has been helpful to you. You need to pay attention to things like double blind and experimental design. We're still not actually doing any of the computations. And finally, I'd like to exit out of the homework system and talk just for a second about the project. So I'm only going to talk for a couple minutes about project one. So in module one this week, due this week is quantitative project one. And you might want to look at the entire instructions for the whole quantitative project. And then the rubric that you're scored on is down here. So open up this document, save it to your computer, and look at the big picture. But the big picture is when you get down to part 3, you're going to be doing a correlation and regression analysis, which means that when you're choosing your variables and explanatory and response variables, that you're going to need 2 quantitative variables, not qualitative, not categorical. So babies' heights and weights, and these are linked together in some way. The topic should be something of interest to you: pediatric medicine, drug dependency, whether age has an impact on grades, grade point average, a number of hours studying versus score on a final exam. Okay, those are both quantitative variables that are linked by the person who would actually be reporting this. I studied for 5 hours and I got a 98% on the exam. I studied for 2 hours and I got a 72% on the exam. Right? So you want to have these paired variables, and you're going to need, as you'll find out later when you look at the instructions for part 3, you're going to need at least 30 different pairs of data, and they're pairs of quantitative data. All right, so for this week, I expect a paragraph of explanation. What is your topic and why are you interested in it? And I expect a few sentences about the goal of the study, what what you're trying to determine, and then in particular, what are your choices for explanatory and response variables, just like we practiced in our homework. All right, I hope this has been helpful. I'm going to click stop on this video. And as always, please let me know if I can help.